Okay, so let's summarize that whole analysis, and I'm gonna tell you my
Okay.
theory as to how the story of
This is
could
not
potentially look like.
okay.
So,
Hello and welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time. Today, I really want to make my own watercolor palette because I had the urge to buy one, but I didn't want to spend. So I figured, let me just make a new one so it feels like I bought one, but I didn't. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that this is a project completely born of convenience and the urge to be cheap. But it ended up being my favorite watercolor palette I have. So everything worked out in the end, if you ask me.
So now we have this. And we're just gonna we can squeeze more paint into this thingy now. And we can still pop it out, pop it back in. I love that.
The first thing you have to do when you're starting out making a new watercolor palette, or a watercolor palette, obviously, is to pick your watercolors. So this is me kind of sorting through my stash of watercolors I have available. Yes, I do keep them in a giant bust of Miles from Spider-Man. Basically, what I like to do is I go to AMC, I get those buckets, those popcorn buckets, and I keep my art supplies in them. It's great.
Okay, so I've divided all the paints that I have in Miles here. Not you, Miles, but this Miles. I've divided them up into the different types of paints that there are. So I have like all the Daniel Smith and a couple of Mission Golds, which I guess technically should be over here. Daniel Smith and Holbein's are kind of here. Arteza gouache. These are actually gouache paints, which honestly, I haven't messed with these in a minute. I really should. Like, looking at them again, I'm kind of like, might have to paint something with these. I don't have it. I'm sorry. Does that belong to you? Sorry, Cat wants to paint. And then we have our Mission Gold right there. So, basically, stop stealing. Stop. Basically, I'm going to figure out which colors I want to put in a palette. Maybe swatch out a couple of them. I do have some of them already in palette, so I kind of know rough idea of what they look like. So I'm going to try to build out a palette. Why do I feel like I'm missing paint? Like, this doesn't seem like my usual amount. So I have to go hunt to see if I have some more of these over here. Okay, I've kind of picked out the kind of non-negotiables, I guess. It's gonna be these guys right here. Is this a good mixing palette? I don't know. Hold up. Sorry, had to deal with my cat as always. Anyway, so is it a good mixing palette? Not entirely sure. I did go for, obviously, we have our primaries are in display, and then I went for warm and cools of each one of those. So I think that pretty much takes care of the mixing part of it. But then I have a couple colors that are like specialty colors, I guess I'm calling them. So things like the Moon Glow, that's not a color you can mix. It's also like very frivolous. I don't know if I would use it too often, but I want her in the mix. I also have a couple things like the yellow gray and stuff like that, where it's just a color that I really like. So I wanted to add it in there. And then I have white gouache, because you never know when you need to make a pastel. So yeah, we're gonna do, or also when you need to like bring some whites back into the mix. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna swatch out everything to see if I like what we have. And then we're good to go, I think.
And that brings us to the swatching portion of the video, or should I say swatching A, because I will swatch again once I've figured out what colors I settled on. But for now, what we're kind of doing is just like testing out the colors that I'm into, the colors that I'm vibing with, I kind of just picked them on vibes. So now we're testing out, do these colors look good together? Which colors I think work well together? Do I have colors that are a little bit too similar to one another? Which there are a couple that are like, yeah, girl, I really like this blue-green, but this blue-green matches this other blue-green a little too perfectly. Or there's a couple colors too where I feel like I could mix and make that one color. So it gives me a little bit more wiggle room if I have the two separate colors that I can mix to make the one color versus keeping that one color. Also, there's like a couple cases where there's a couple colors that made it on the list because I just had the space for it. So might as well come on in, the water's hot. Or is it the water's warm? You probably don't want to swim in hot water, so yeah, the water's warm.
Okay, so I'm kind of just swatching some of the colors I think could work really well in this palette. So I don't know, I think as much as I like the greens that I have here, I do think I need something of like a darker, smokier green in the mix, because this is fairly blue-green, this is very yellow, and then this one is kind of just like minty. It's out of nowhere. So yeah, I'm thinking of possibly one of these two to add to the mix. We'll see. Other colors that are in consideration, I already have an ultramarine because I really needed, like, I added that last minute. I felt like I needed a cooler blue to this mix. I'm debating marigold orange, which I guess should be somewhere in here. You know, I feel like that's a good color in there. I already mentioned honey mustard, whomst I love. Let's see, I guess honey mustard would be somewhere in this region. I don't know if I want to get rid of any gamboge for that, or if honestly I feel like this is a good in between, so maybe I don't need honey mustard at all. And then we have Chinese vermilion. I believe this is this one right here. Instead of shell pink, I'm not sure. Let me label these. There we go. So this is marigold orange. Please excuse my handwriting. I am trying not to get my sleeve wet. Okay, Chinese vermilion. And then I'll wait for that to dry a little bit more before I add that one. Other colors, let's see. Oh, I do like this putty color, which would go well, I think, with like the neutrals, which is kind of this little section down here. I don't know. Putty. I'll move the camera a little bit. Ooh, there you go. And then we have burnt coral. That's kind of the last of the colors I'm thinking about, which is another in this region. Oh, I really like that. I like that a lot. Maybe this should have gone with browns. I'm not sure. So, burnt coral. My sleeve. Oh my god, my handwriting looks horrible. Okay. Putty. Is this? I'm just gonna do this to kind of honey mustard. This is not the fanciest swatch sheet, but that's because it's for practical purposes and not for like aesthetics. It's not the prettiest one. When I've figured out what I'm doing, then we can make a nice swatch sheet. Wait, I have another color that I like. now I'm kind of like, maybe I should be opening this palette more because there's so many good colors. You know what? This is so close to phthalo green that I think I can skip this one. This is called Sea Glass. Okay, this is pretty close to phthalo green. I think really bad. Let me just check really quickly if anything else is calling my name. I think those are the big ones that I like from this list. So now I'm gonna think about. I'm gonna have to think about which colors I think I really need. Which colors look the best together, so that when I make a full palette, and I can just keep coming back to this one for getting my work done. So what I started doing here is basically putting different paint cups, paint pans next to the colors. I'm thinking, because I wanted to decide which ones I was going to make the full pan and which was going to be half pan. And I'm thinking for the full pans, buff titanium, Naples yellow, carmine, burnt sienna. I'm debating Cascade Green. I really like this color a lot, but I don't know if I like it enough or if I'll use it enough that it warrants being in a big pan, but you know, YOLO and things, so we'll see. Payne's Blue Gray. Let me put that so you can kind of see it. Payne's Blue Gray also has a full pan, and I think that's it. I could swap out, because I do have room in my tin for like bigger pans, but it's possible I might make Ultramarine Deep a full pan. I don't know, or maybe I should just swap these. Not sure. Things I'm thinking about. I'll fill these two last while I think about it. Also, I'm pulling the paints from my other pack, so I have a couple of them pulled out. So it's putty, burnt coral, marigold orange, and Mayan green. Yeah, so I'm gonna go fill these now. Perfectly, look how perfectly that went into that. What? It looks so crisp, smooth, perfection. Wow, that's crazy. I don't know why this feels like a triumphant moment for me, but it does. Behold. So that's everything. Basically, ooh, this needs a little bit more, but that's everything in there. I just need them all to dry. There you go, you can kind of see it there. But yeah, I need them all to dry. And once we do that, I'm probably gonna have to put another layer in, because typically when it dries, it shrinks. So depending on where the level it's at when it's dried, I'll try to add another pass on top, and then we're good to go. But in the meantime, I'm gonna put them in the tin on top of this thing, and I'll probably sticky tack them down. If you look, like these that were already in something have magnets on the bottom, but unfortunately I don't have any more magnets right now, so I'm gonna get some more magnets later. But for now, I'm gonna sticky tack them in so that they fit in there and don't budge. And I'm gonna put them in this order so I remember what's what. But the colors look good together. I'm into it.
Welcome to swatching part B, baby. Now I have all my colors, as you can see, laid out, picked out. I've decided that I like this mix together, and we're committing to the bit, and I've made the swatch card to go inside the paint tin so I know which color is which. I also labeled each pan with either the initials or the entirety of the word of which color it is, because it's very easy to get lost in the sauce and forget. There are a couple additions to the mix that I don't think I swatched out before, because when I put everything in the pan and I laid it out, I realized I had room for a little bit more. So I think I have like a cerulean in there. I did put sea glass back in there, and there's like a, what is that one called? Naples red, I believe, which is that peachy looking color above, like in between the two greens. So yeah, there's a couple things that made it on the list that I didn't swatch out before, or I swatched them out after the fact. But gang's all here. I'm actually really happy with how these colors look together. I'm not an intense watercolorer, but I've found that whenever I've gone to watercolor anything, I've been reaching for this palette a lot more, so that makes me happy. And also, I don't have to pay any money for it because I already owned all these paints. This makes me even happier. Love that for me. Okay, it's all swatched out. Beautiful. Love it. I just have to put the names for everything in there, but it looks so nice. All right, let's test her out. We don't have to dwell too much on the testy parts of this here today. Overall, I did not really care for how this piece came out. That has nothing to do with the paints at hand and everything to do with, I just couldn't paint those flowers. It was a beautiful bouquet, gorgeous bouquet, but I am not a flower painter, girl. Like, I don't like how it turned out, but the colors worked really well together. I was able to get the full range of everything that I needed to make this tester piece come true. I'm just gonna have to take my word for it that the actual paints, the palette, beautiful, delicious, delightful, love her. The painting itself, irrelevant. She was a test, and C- on the end results, but A+ for effort. I give you that. And with that, we are now at the end of our video. I know, I'm gonna miss you guys too, but lucky you, new video every other Saturday on this channel. So I'll be back soon. No worries. Hopefully with something new and exciting, something fresh, as it always is. But yeah, yeah, I'm running out of steam. I don't know what to say anymore. New videos on my channel every other Saturday. Please do all the YouTube things down below. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification so that you know when there's another video in your feed. And until then, have a good one, y'all. See you around. Make some art and be nice to people. Drink water. I don't know, all the good stuff. All right. I'm gonna see you guys later. Bye.